In this third screencast, I'll show how to do calculations using the spreadsheet and also how to make your plot a little bit fancier. Now notice that you should never close the browser, but you can minimize it in order to see your spreadsheet and your graph. Here I've already set up my spreadsheet, and in the first column I'm going to, as usual, input my x values starting at x equals 0. I'm going to use a small increment this time, so I will write down here a1 plus 0.01, 0.01 being my value of h, and here I'll write sine of a1 for my function. Let me copy those both to row 2, and now observe that I can actually copy this using the edit to the next 100 rows rather than dragging it, which can sometimes be inconvenient. In the next column, I'm going to approximate the derivative by computing slopes of secant lines between adjoining points on this graph. So I'm going to subtract successive y values and divide by the increment, which is 0.01. So for example, here I'm going to write bracket b2 minus b1 divided by 0.01. Again, I will copy this down, and I can copy this with the edit to the next 100 rows. And now I can open my graph, which I've already scaled, and add the plot. So add the new xy plot. The x and y ranges are now in columns A and B, and let me plot that first. So let's go from A1 up to 101 and B1 up to 101. Click OK, and there's your graph. Let us label that graph. So to do so, we can add a new label, and we can refer to this as sine x. Let's make the size nice and big. And here we go, sine x. Now let's add the second graph, which is the derivative. So new xy plot. The x range is still contained in A1 to 101, but the y range is now in the C column, remember? There it is, it's the approximation to the derivative. And so we'll add C1 up to 101. Let's click OK. Now let's make that a different color, just so we can distinguish it. And let's also add a new label. And this will be the derivative, or an approximation of the derivative, f prime x, the approximation being obtained from the secant line. We can put that next to our new graph, and we can even make that label red, just so we can see things a little bit better.